Last Saturday, when I speak to you, I spoke to you about how much I love my father. I told you that I revere and I love my father. And I told you one of the things that I tell you. What my father love, I love. Who my father hates, I hate. And I'm speaking about my earthly father. Right? I'm speaking about my earthly father, Hamilton Palmer, the bottom tongue man. I love my father so much. What my father hate, I hate. Who my father love, I love. Even the same food that my father liked, I like it. Strange, but this is just my story. This is just my story. Let me tell you something. My father run a grocery and a rum shop. Deteriorated in the later days, but he had especially the rum shop. A lot of people come to my father's shop, but there are some people who you know that he appreciates them, he respects them, and he loves them by the way he interacts with them, by the long hours they'll come and spend in his shop, sit down and talk all day. Mr. Leopold Doppwell, Randy Doppwell's father. Winston Batiste Sabat's ex head principal of the grammar school. Even while he was a principal, he would come there. Mr. Leroy Mullering, he was minister, chief education officer in St. Vincent the Grenadines. They have Branch, the carpenter. They have Mr. Kolzak, who was from the neighborhood. And a few other people that will come there and spend quality time with my father. My father told me as a child, he said, this is what he says. And I mentioned this Saturday, but I'll bring it up again because I want to tie it to something that I'm going to come up with later. He says, you have to follow your, it's true for me. The people who you see me interact with me, like Mr. Doppel and Mr. Kolzak, right? These are my friends. These are the people you feel free to interact with them if you meet them outside of the shop, right? So when I meet them, I'll say hi, and they say, how is that doing? I say, it's okay, and so forth. You see, if you don't see me interact with these people in this manner, don't worry about it. You don't owe them no obligation to interact with them or to be their friends or to answer their questions. When my father laid on the law, for me, as a simple mind that I have, that was it. So those people I will interact with, the others I don't. I remember, right? I was about, how old I was about? My mother was still alive. I was about 6 years old. My mother died when I was 7. I was about 5 or 6 years old. And this guy came into my father's shop. And he came and he ordered a drink of rum. My father refused to serve him a drink. My father said, everybody come and have each sell him. This particular guy, he refused to sell him a drink. My father called him down from the other customers. I was sitting on the floor in the shop, about 6 years old, collecting juicy corks and all this kind of, doing something there, sitting on the floor. And I hear my father say to him, listen to me, I don't want you coming into my business place. Don't ever come back into my shop. And don't, he literally threw him out of his shop. Don't come back here, right? And Mr. Doppel was there. Mr. Doppel said, P, you can't treat your customers like that. Even I was out of sight. I feel embarrassed for the man. Even at 6 years old, right? To see how my father treat this man so rough and tell him don't come back in the shop, right? Mr. Doppel, who overheard the conversation, felt embarrassed for the man also. He say, P can't treat a customer like that. This guy could come and bring me. He say, I don't want his business. I don't want his business. His name is Mr. Millington from Spring Village. He was a supervisor at the sanitation department. Right? So, it was our custom in our house. On 9 mornings, my mother would wake us up even before I could properly walk. I could remember she carried me to church 9 mornings, like what? 4 o'clock in the morning, leaving home with me, Andrea, Claire, the whole family, Albert, Val, everybody. And we're going to church 9 mornings. And after that, we will walk around, window shop, go to the juicy factory, watch them work. And she make a big thing out of it. And my father will come up, and you know, you see the people again. Miss P, your husband outside, your husband outside. And this kind of thing. So, when my mother got ill, I was about 6 years old. My mother got ill. And so this would be somewhere in 1972. We didn't go to that 9 mornings, right? So Charmaine would come and say, Mother, let me take Alan 9 mornings. And she would take me out and so forth. That's my hero sister. So one morning, Charmaine didn't want to go, so I got up early. I put on my clothes. I got 6 years old now. I put on my clothes. I put on my clothes. I climb up. I see Charmaine used to climb up. I open the door. I left. I climb up on the outside and hook back the door as I see Charmaine used to do. And I gone 9 mornings. My mother saw me. My mother did not stop me. What my mother did, my mother went on her knees and she began to pray. She didn't get up off her knees until I returned home about 6 o'clock the next morning. So when I was going to 9 mornings, when I reached at River Road, coming from Bottomtown, by OT there was this man sitting on the bridge there. And when he saw me, his eye light up. I could remember these things very clearly because I was supposed to remember it. He said, little boy, where you going? And he had a smiling face. I said, I'm going 9 mornings. He said, where's your parents? How are you going up by yourself? I said, no, I'm just going 9 mornings. He said, you like my bike? I said, yeah, you have a nice bike. He said, you want to ride? Remember, 6 years old? I said, yes. 4 o'clock in the morning. An adult meet a little 6-year-old on the streets. Speak to him kind. Offer him a ride. He said, where you live? I said, I live Bottomtown. He says, where in Bottomtown? I live on Queen Street. Next to John House. He said, come on the bike. When I drive down, I want you to point out your house for me. So he drive down back street, go straight down to cemetery. And when he drove, I say, that blue house is what I'm living in. That was my father's house. This was the same man who my father threw out of the shop. The man turned around his bike at the cemetery. He drove back to the bridge. He got off his bike. I got off the bike. He said, go on, little boy, go on. Go on, little boy, go on. Let me tell you how important it is for you to be careful and follow the instructions of your parents when they give you them without thinking twice. This fella was a pedophile. This guy, Mr. Millington, was a pedophile. He had raped several young boys in the community. I would have been hearing these talking. I couldn't put them together. I was too young to understand what they were saying. I could remember the names whose was called and was associated with the rape of Mr. Millington. I could remember them clearly because now I could put 1 and 1 together and make it 2. So when he came into my father's shop, my father knew exactly who he was. My father didn't want a pedophile around his shop. Because the neighborhood children always come to the shop. My father didn't want a pedophile around the shop because he had a son that he loved. And it does not matter how much business he could have brought to my father's shop. He didn't want him around. That is why my father threw him out and told him never come back. And if you ever, this is what I didn't mention, if you ever mess with any of my children, I'm going to shoot you. My father threatened him when he threw him out of the shop. I could remember these things. I didn't understand what was going on. But it's after I become an adult, I realized I could put the words together. The words now make sense. The situation now makes sense. Listen, people. He had a sister in the alley. I was friendly with her children. So one day I was in the alley playing marble ring, 6 years old, with her sons and her daughters. And the guy came in, right? I said, my friend, how are you doing? He said, oh, all right. And he run to the back. And I hear his sister, Mr. Carroll, say, I hope he didn't interfere with Mr. Palmer. Son, you know, I hope he didn't interfere with him. He said, no, I didn't interfere. So how you know him? He said, I met him one time and I talked to him, but I never interfere with him. I hear in all of these conversations, but my juvenile, 6-year-old mind cannot put them together. The words were there, the words stuck in my head, but I just couldn't put them together. People, you see how important it was for me to remember that guy's face, to remember that my father threw him out of the shop, and to remember that my father says that if he ain't Mr. Dopwell, don't treat him like how I treat Mr. Dopwell or Mr. Kolzak. Have nothing to do with them. It is because my father threatened him. If my father did allow him to hang about in the shop and sell him the drink because he wanted the money and didn't threaten to shoot him, I would have been raped, I would have been defiled, I would have been broken, and I would be walking about like all of these guys today. Today in California, I would have done all of the things that they wanted me to get opportunities. I'd have been a stinking homosexual today. But because my father threatened to shoot that guy if he ever messed with any of his children, when he realized that I was from the house where he was thrown out of the shop, he said, go on, little boy, go on. Go on, little boy, go on. The fear of my father took away every hope of sexual gratification from that man. The fear of what my father would have done to him. That is why I love my father. Because my father protected me when I was in serious danger and he was not around to protect me. The Most High put the fear of that man, of my father, in that man's heart. That is why he chased me. That is why I have never been defiled. That is why I can stand up today, brave and unafraid, because I'm not broken by anyone. You understand? People. Another person I see my father throw out of the shop was Ralph Gonsalves. Ralph Gonsalves would have been implicated in the 70s as being a trapper man who used to start Buck White, a disco at Edinburgh, Fellows, a disco at Kittels, and Rosa Disco in Sign Hill. He will start those 3 discos. He had a mask and a machete, and he will try to rape people at cutlass point. When they catch him, they're not bomb proof. The commissioner says, because of this color of his skin, he cannot be the chopper man. He is too nice to be the chopper man. My father became irate when he was told this, because my father was very close to the police. He said, that is the man. That is the man. They're letting go the criminal. You understand? When I was a teenager hanging out on the Kentucky block by Higginson Street. Is Higginson Street? I think so, Kentucky, yeah. By Grand Bazaar. All of the guys who will be there used to speak fondly of Ralph Gonsalves. All of the guys who were there used to speak fondly of Ralph Gonsalves. It appeared that they were all his friends. You understand? Alec, Bert, Bodie, all of these guys. I was about 16 or 17 years old. I wanted to be accepted in the group. I wanted, because that's why I'm hanging out with them, because I'm looking for acceptance. You understand? I'll go up there, I'll hang out with them. And they'll talk all kind of things, talk about cars, talk about fighting, talk about women, talk about everything. And every now and again, Ralph Gonsalves' name will come up. Or the Comrade Bright, or they don't call him Comrade Ralph. You know, they don't call him Comrade then. Ralph this and Ralph that. I wanted to be a part of the group. I wanted to sing Ralph praises. Because it will make me fit in. It will be easy for me to fit in if I did it. But I remembered Ralph, my father trained Ralph Gonsalves out of his shop. And when Mr. Doppel tell him, Palmer, the young man is a professional, he can bring business to your shop. I treated him, my father said, I don't want his business. I don't want his business. And no matter how I try to big up Ralph, no matter how I try to get in the little clique, I could not bring myself to associate with this man, because my father did not treat him the way he treated Mr. Doppel. He did not treat him the way he treated Mr. Kolzak. So I kept my distance. I never said anything bad. I never said anything good. And I stay away from him all the time. You understand? I had many run-ins with him over the course of the years. None of them was ever positive. So I always kept myself from this man, because my father told me. And this is what we have today. So people, I brought this here to tell you, do you have what it takes to make it into the kingdom of the Most High? Do you have what it takes to make it into the kingdom of God? When the Most High says in Malachi chapter 1, verse 2 to 4, Jacob I love and Esau I hate. When the Most High says, I will call Edom the border of wickedness. When the Most High says, Edom says that I am impoverished, I will go back and I will build up the waste place. And when the Most High comes and says, Esau or Edom will build up, but when they build it up, I will break it down, because I hate Edom forever. People, when the Most High says this, and when now that you find out who the Edomites are in today's history, the Most High didn't say he will hate Edom for 10 years. He didn't say he will hate Edom for a century. He said he will hate Edom forever. Forever has no end. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And even when this war is done, forever will continue. Do you love the Edomites, knowing that your father say he will hate them forever? People, remember, it is not only the commands that the Most High give we are to follow. We are to follow in his footsteps. Now that you understand who the Edomites are you still in love with the Edomites? Do you love them because they control the resources in this world? and you might not be able to eat unless you cozy up with them and love them and speak good about them. People, you remember, should Yahweh, aka Jesus, bear the cross alone and all the world go free? You have to carry your cross. You have to sacrifice for the Most High.